Posted by u/thrower _161,114,218,610 on October 7, 2022. My brother has supervised visits with his kids. The court-appointed supervisor for the visits meant to text gossip about my brother's case to her mom but sent it to my brother instead and then made a ridiculous lie to try and backtrack. My brother is in Idaho and has no lawyer, going through a divorce with 2 children involved. Trying to keep it as anonymous as possible. He was at a supervised visit with his 2 kids at a place sort of like Chuck E. Cheese, and the court-appointed supervisor was there to observe and report on my brother's behavior. At one point my niece had to use the bathroom, so my brother takes her to the family bathroom, which is a single, lockable room with a toilet, urinal and sink. He uses the urinal while his daughter uses the toilet. When he comes out, the supervisor asks my brother if he used the urinal in there. He said yes. The night went on with playing with the kids. When it was time to load up the kids in the car, the court supervisor approached my brother and told him he might get a text from her because, according to her, when I submit my report to the court online, sometimes it texts you a transcript of the report. For whatever reason, certain sentences and/or words that group together in a specific way end up being converted to emojis. It must be a bug in the system. My brother thinks it's weird but gets in the car, drops the kids off, and when he gets home, he checks his phone. There is a text from her phone number that reads, "Last name case, little girl needs to go potty," so they go into the bathroom together and dad decides he needs to use the urinal. Like, literally? That's disgusting. So, this is obviously not an official count report on the supervised visit, it's a text she meant to send to someone else. My question is, without a lawyer, what are my brother's options here to report this and get a different supervisor for his visits? Since he doesn't have a lawyer, we don't know any steps to take or forms to file with the court. I appreciate any help you all can provide. ETA, I made this post and then went to bed. When I woke up, so many comments meant tea, and I appreciate that. I'm still going through the comments, but a lot of them are telling me he needs a lawyer. He had one but couldn't afford them anymore, so I was hoping to get advice on how he can go about reporting without a lawyer. I'll keep reading comments but can't reply due to the post being locked. I'll update you as soon as something happens. Now on to the update posted on October 15, 2022. Update: my brother has supervised visits with his kids. The court-appointed supervisor for the visits meant to text gossip about my brother's case to her mom but sent it to my brother instead and then made a ridiculous lie to try and backtrack. My last post got enough likes and followers that I imagined some want an update, so here we go. My brother got in touch with one of the resources that a user sent me. Thank you so much you/no one's pray, and they could get him on a wait list for a lawyer, which he will get next month, but they told him exactly who to call to file a complaint and what form to submit to the court. He called the number right away and got in touch with the court-appointed supervisor's direct supervisor. This is how the conversation went. Supervisor, I read your complaint and saw the attached screenshots of the texts. I agree that this was unprofessional, and I will have a talk with her. The point is, though, she is supposed to watch you with your kids, and you should be adjusting your behavior to completely appropriate, no matter what you think is normal. My brother, I understand that the position I am in requires me to be under increased scrutiny, and will even give you the point that I should not have used the urinal while my daughter was in the stall next to me, but what my complaint about is that court supervisor's name clearly accidentally texted me instead of a friend or family member, and it was an inappropriate text about my case, with my name, and she used barf emojis to convey how disgusted she was with me. She shouldn't be discussing cases with anyone but the court, and I don't want to even think about how many other people she is doing this to. Court supervisor, I agree and already said I would have a talk with her. What else would you like me to do? My brother, at the very least I think she should be in deeper trouble for this, but I can see that you are keeping it minimized, so can I get a different court supervisor for my visits with my kids? Supervisor, yes, I can do that. Your next visit is in a little under 2 weeks and I'll reassign your case by then. My brother thanked her, and they had the usual pleasantries you do when you end a call. My brother was really disappointed that this woman didn't take the actions of her employee more seriously, and he told me that it made him feel even more low, and that was compounding with his depression. I comforted him and reminded him of all the wonderful qualities I have seen in him since day one. He is 5 years younger than me and born the day before my 5th birthday. I remember thinking he was the best birthday present a little girl could ask for. Love this guy so much. I asked him if he wanted me to contact the media, call that supervisor myself, make a big stink. He quietly told me that he is stretched so thin by his pending divorce, it's been tumultuous to say the least, and depressed by how little he gets to see his kids that he doesn't have the energy to keep fighting this. I can respect his feelings, and I told him I wouldn't push it, but man, do I want to. You guys, so bad. I mentioned that she could be doing this to other fathers, and because it's a small town in Idaho, she could gossip to someone that knows the person personally and that could really affect someone else's life terribly. He agreed and said, "I'm sorry sis, I just don't have the mental or emotional bandwidth to think about that right now." So, I've decided that I do have the emotional bandwidth, and if he ever changes his mind, I will do the work to expose this woman. We have to leave it at that though, because I don't want to stress him out more and I want to respect his boundaries. Now on to the next story. Posted by u/informal_house_221. I didn't like my stepdaughter. I, 27F, was in a relationship with a 46-year-old man who had a 10-year-old daughter and shared custody with the mother, who left him when she was a baby for another and had 3 other kids with the man. They are very rich, they have maids and nannies. At least the man is. The mother is kinda materialistic ho? Anyway, I briefly moved in with him and every other weekend she would come. I used to love her, she was very cute. Before I moved in, I only saw her on occasion, and I never went to their place before, and she seemed absolutely perfect. I'm very manic and I clean all the time and I cook a lot. My mother raised me to be a part of house chores very young, and I love that. I think it's important for a child to share the load of the house you live in. When I moved in, I realized that her room was an absolute mess. She left all her stuff everywhere in the way, backpack from school in the middle of the corridor, with shoes and socks. Every time she takes a toy from her room, she plays in the living room, then when she's done, leaves the toy where it is. Basic child stuff. I also realized then she didn't do anything by herself. She wouldn't help to cook or clean, she wouldn't pour her own water from the bottle, she wouldn't cut her own meat or whatever, never used a knife. I tried to talk to my boyfriend saying that she should be a part of the chores at her age, not much but at least help a bit in the kitchen, help dressing the table, taking out the trash. I don't know anything, even a small thing, just so she participates and that she needs to clean her room by herself. I couldn't keep doing it, or him or anyone. She's 10, she's not a baby. He didn't agree, said that she was just a kid, and I shouldn't expect anything from her. One day, she heard us arguing about it. She was listening to our bedroom door after bedtime, and after that she started being bitchy with me. I mean, I realize I'm talking about a 10-year-old kid, but she would call me out on my nails. I like fake acrylic, very long flashy nails, even though it's a pain when I cook every time I do something. And she would say thing like, "You shouldn't have that much to do all day long with nails like that," or "We know the kind of woman who has nails like that." She would act like she loved me in front of her dad though, and impossible for him to believe me. He said I hated her and that I was awful, that I was way too strict, and because I grew up in a broken household I expect too much of a child, and at her age it's normal to not help out for cooking and cleaning. He thinks my mother traumatized me by teaching me autonomy at such a young age. I would cook meals at 7, clean my room since I was 4, not everything, but I would get my toys in my toy baskets and get my stuff out of the way, put my shoes away. It ended up ruining our relationship. First I moved out, then we really broke up. There were other issues, but the most important is that I want a kid someday. He wanted to, and I just couldn't see how we could do co-parenting together. I want my kid to help out very early at home, and I couldn't picture explaining to my kid why does he have to help out but his big sister doesn't. Why does he get grounded when he does something bad, and she doesn't? Am I wrong? Am I too tough? Do you think it's normal for a kid to never been asked to help out at home at 10 years old? Now on to the last story. Posted by you/very real Zach. DMV took away my license because of a medical condition I don't have. A few days ago, I got a notice in the mail that my license has been recalled and I must surrender it to the state because they received a report that I have a seizure disorder. I do not have a seizure disorder, have never had a seizure disorder, or any medical condition that is remotely close. I submitted paperwork from my doctor's office attesting to this fact and a letter explaining that this is an error, along with a request for a copy of the initial seizure report. A person I spoke to at the DMV said that this report would have come from a doctor's office, though due to HIPAA, this call center worker couldn't access my report to provide specifics. I called every doctor I've seen in the 2 years, which is not many, and all of them said they filed no such report, because I obviously don't have seizures. The DMV medical team who handles these reports is not taking phone calls, only written requests or emails, which takes about 5 days to respond to. I told the DMV I've submitted paperwork to correct my record and reinstate my license. They said that'll take about 20 business days to process. Meanwhile, in 15 days, the state PD will be notified that my license is to be confiscated if I don't surrender it voluntarily. So, during this time, I can't get myself to work, can't drive, and I have a pregnant wife who can go into labor any day now. Do I have any legal recourse here? Anything I can do other than wait it out? What the hell do I even do? Now on to the update. Update: DMV took away my license for a medical condition I don't have. Few months ago, I posted about losing my license. I ended up filing an appeal with my state court to have my license reinstated with a letter from my doctor stating that I was clear to drive and had no seizure disorder. I've been able to drive, because when your active license is pending appeal, you're allowed to drive until your hearing. A few weeks after receiving the notice to appear in court, the DMV sent me a letter saying my license was reinstated and that the suspension was removed from my record. I sent a letter back asking for the original report that caused the suspension, but never got it. This week I had my court hearing, which lasted about 60 seconds. Because the state showed my license had already been reinstated and my record cleared, the judge declared the case was moot, said congratulations and sent me on my way. Before the hearing, I spoke with the opposing attorney for the state and asked him why or how this could have happened. He didn't know for my particular case. It seemed like once he saw that my problem had been resolved, he didn't look into it much further than that. I asked for a copy of the original report. He said he didn't have it. So how did this stupid conspiracy happen? My theory at first was DMV error because DMV, but after going through all of my papers, doctor's notes, etc., I don't think that was it. My only doctor's appointment in the 6 months before I lost my license was with a checkup with my sleep doctor. In my chart they listed I had narcolepsy. I don't, I have sleep apnea. Didn't notice at the time of my appointment. I called my insurance and the doctor, and they swore that they didn't file a report and said that that's just not something we do. My doctor's office is under the umbrella of a larger organization, so maybe the doctor's office didn't but the organization did. So that's my best guess. Something about that new incorrect diagnosis ended up at the State Department of Transportation. Had to pay court fees and miss 2 days of work. But it's done with. A huge thank you to this subreddit. Everyone's advice and suggestions told me exactly what I needed to do to make sure I got my license back quickly. TLDR, got a letter from the state my license was revoked for a seizure disorder, but I have never had a seizure disorder or a seizure. Had hearing this week, got license back.